Al-Qaeda is a notorious terrorist group made up of central leaders called the Jihad, along with followers consisting of self-bombers and terrorists who fulfill jobs for them around the world. The terrorists have caused massive damage to Iraq, Yemen, the US, Spain, Moscow, Mumbai, Bali, London, and Stockholm, and more. Al-Qaeda's main leader now is Ayman al-Zawahiri, an eye surgeon who helped found the Egyptian militant group Islamic Jihad, who was named the new leader of Al-Qaeda on the 16th of June 2011, just a few weeks after the United States SEAL Team 6 took out Osama bin Laden. In the high-level panel on threats, challenges, and change, December 2004 report of the UN, the panel drew attention to the need to develop a comprehensive strategy to fight terrorism that addresses factors that facilitate terrorism and strengthens the capacity of states and the rule of law, while also promoting fundamental human rights. The panel called on the United Nations to take a leading role in promoting this comprehensive strategy. Leading up to the 2005 September summit and using the one-year anniversary of the Madrid train bombings, Secretary General Kofi Annan, acting on the recommendations of the high-level panel, launched his proposals for a comprehensive counterterrorism strategy in Madrid. He proposed a strategy that included 5 key elements as basic pillars: dissuading groups from resorting to terrorism, denying terrorists the means to carry out an act, deterring states from supporting terrorist groups, developing state capacity to prevent terrorism, and defending human rights in the context of terrorism and counterterrorism. The General Assembly then adopts the United Nations Global Counterterrorism Strategy using the Secretary General's recommendations as a base, and member states in 2006 began consulting on creating a comprehensive counterterrorism strategy. This resulted in a consensus agreement to adopt the United Nations Global Counterterrorism Strategy in 2006. The UN has responded to terrorism in many ways, and most of which were successful, some of which include country visits, which at the request to monitor progress as well as to evaluate the nature and level of technical assistance a given country may need in order to implement Resolution 1373, technical assistance used to help connect countries to available technical, financial, regulatory, and legislative assistance programs as well as to potential donors, country reports to provide a comprehensive snapshot of the counterterrorism situation in each country and serve as a tool for dialogue between the committee and member states, best practices to encourage countries to apply best known practices, codes, and standards to taking into account their own circumstances and needs, and special meetings to develop closer ties with relevant international, regional, and sub-regional organizations, and to help avoid duplication of effort and waste of resources through better coordination. The UN has also taken steps to criminalize financing of terrorism, freeze without delay any funds related to persons involved in acts of terrorism, deny all forms of financial support for terrorist groups, suppress the provisions of safe haven sustenance or support for terrorists, share information with other governments on any groups practicing or planning terrorist acts, cooperate with other governments in the investigation, detection, arrest, extradition, and prosecution of those involved in such acts, and to criminalize active and passive assistance for terrorism and domestic law and bring violators to justice. The UN's global counterterrorism strategy includes tackling the conditions conducive to the spread of terrorism, preventing and combating terrorism, building countries' capacity to prevent and combat terrorism and to strengthen the role of the United Nations system in that regard, and ensuring respect for human rights for all and the rule of law while countering terrorism. Yes, the UN has been successful in its resolutions, but these successes and resolutions are becoming repetitive as we are not going to the base of the issue and cutting it off there. They have taken the steps to criminalize the financing of terrorism, but Al-Qaeda and other highly trained professional terrorist groups will not let that stop them and will find ways around it. These steps are in the right direction to end terrorism, but they are not enough because these groups are trained to find ways around these laws and resolutions. We need to go to the root of the problem and cut them off at the base of their organization. Al-Qaeda has a different structure as opposed to other terrorists. They have branches and a central group of leaders who are highly trained and educated, and they have passed on their training and education to their followers that they have stationed all over the world. We have taken out some of their key leaders, such as bin Laden, but with their structure just as lethal, if not more, replaces him, and we are back to square one. We need to go to the root of it all, the education that is provided to these terrorists. We need to cut it off at its source and ban all education with immoral meanings. We could try to cut off their money source, but that will not stop them from finding money from another supplier. If we end this education, we can prevent the generations to come from growing up as trained killers. Al-Qaeda is thought as the central power of terrorism. They are the most lethal, and if we cut them off at their source, we will be able to make progress in destroying ISIS and the Taliban, because who's to say these groups won't be working together soon?